Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Arctic Pauper Show with your host, Arctic Ghost. This week, I am bringing you a deck that was made and is pretty much mained by 420 Dragon, a competitor in my community Pauper Challenge. 420 Dragon is a good person. I've had many conversations with him at this point, and he's a very, very good player. One of the top players of the Pauper community, in my opinion. For those of you who don't know what Esper Familiars is a deck that's been around for a long time now in one form or another. The deck is based around Sunscape and Nightscape Familiar. It is a Esper deck, which means that it contains blue, black, and white cards. And it's a pure combo deck. The whole joke of the deck is using your Sunscape and Nightscape Familiars. You make all of your blue cards cost generic less, to the point where they cost 1 or 2 mana, and then you can basically Ghostly Flicker 5 or 6 times in one turn. You can snap your creatures and then abuse your bounce lands, or as I like to call them, Karus, to get extra card advantage or to bounce back your opponent's whole board. You can use Ghostly Flicker to combo with cards like Stonehorde Dignitary, Lone Missionary, Seagate Oracle, Mole Drifter, of course, but the big win condition, Dinrova Horror. Originally, way back in the day, this deck was a Temporal Fissure deck. Temporal Fissure being from, I believe, Scourge. It's one of the banned Storm cards. It is 4 and a blue, and says return target permanent to its owner's hands. A sorcery, I believe. But it also had Storm. So the whole joke was, at one point you would just have a Mnemonic Wall and Temporal Fissure, and after comboing off with Cloud of Fairies and getting infinite mana, basically, from snapping back your Cloud of Fairies, and then you would keep untapping your Dimir Aqueduct and your Zera's Chanceries and whatnot. You'd bounce back all of your opponent's permanents, and you would essentially lock your opponent out of the game by being able to go Mnemonic Wall for Temporal Fissure, play Temporal Fissure, Storm 2, return your own Mnemonic Wall and your opponent's land back to their hand, and you could keep looping it over and over again. Then you would beat them down with 1/1s and with 1 power dudes and 2 power dudes. But then Temporal Fissure got banned. Then the deck used Sage's Road Denizen, so you could effectively Ghostly Flicker your Cloud of Fairies over and over, your Cloud of Fairies and your Mnemonic Wall over and over again, and then mill your opponent out with Sage's Road Denizen. Then Cloud of Fairies got banned. Then you did the same thing with Peregrine Drake. Then Peregrine Drake got banned. And now 420 Dragon has found a way to make this deck still somewhat good, with the printing of Dinrova Horror common. But I think enough history. Let's get into the deck. This is his complete 75 from the Community Pauper Challenge. I have not changed any card. And I believe so far, at the time of this recording, he has won 1. He lost to Kung Fu Trees, playing his patented Blue-Red Delver deck, and he beat Ulu Guru playing Affinity. The Affinity matchup, Ulu Guru got a little bit unlucky, but it wasn't particularly close. So looking at the mana base is pretty typical for what you may think. It has 1 Baron more just as a cycle land that you could also use as an extra black source. You really want all of your white sources to come into play untapped, but you only need 1 black source. So that's kind of why you play the Baron more, I think. You have 3 Evolving Wilds and 3 Ash Barons. I think this deck should probably play 4 Ash Barons and 2 Evolving Wilds, but I don't own 4 Ash Barons to try it out, so we're going with 3 and 3 anyway. Ash Barons, I think, is slightly better than Evolving Wilds or Turn-Morphic Expanse for the simple fact that the land that you get with it comes into play untapped to make a land drop that turn if you want. So, like, if you go turn 1 Plains, turn 2 you can cycle the Ash Barons, and the island comes into play untapped. But if you go, like, turn 1 Island for Preordain, you can't go, you can't go Evolving Wilds, put the land into play, untapped. Now, this doesn't matter for this type of deck, really, but for, like, Snow Delver, it kind of does, because, you can't go Evolving Wilds, get untapped Snow-Covered Mountain, Scred, as where you could go cycle Ash Barons, get Mountain, play Mountain, Scred, and things like that. But, you know, either way, I think Ash Barrens is a great card. And then you have 6 Karoo lands. You don't want 8 Karoo lands because your deck does not have Cloud of Fairies or Peregrine Drake. You're not incredibly quick. But these are essentially the lands that makes the deck run. What the whole combo is you use the Sunscape Familiars, of course, to make all of your blue spells cost basically 1 mana, so like Snap and Ghostly Flicker. And you use the Karoos to keep generating mana. So every time you snap a creature, you spend 1 blue, you gain an extra blue back, you get to untap your Karoos, and eventually, at some point, you'll have a Din Rova Horror in play, and a Mnemonic Wall, and a Ghostly Flicker, and you can just, you can Ghostly Flicker, like, 6 or 7 times in one turn with Mnemonic Wall and Din Rova Horror, and basically just lock your opponent out of the game. That's the whole combo of the deck. But you can also combo with a few things, like Ghostly Flicker and Seagate Oracle, Lone Missionary, Sunhorn Dignitary, things like that. The mana base is pretty straightforward with the basics as far as it goes. You got 1 swamp, 2 plains, and 5 islands. I wouldn't change it. So, for the 1 mana spells, all you have is Preordain. You don't really play Duress. You're not really relying on your black spells to get you there. So you don't play Duress, you don't play, any discard effects. Mostly because this deck takes so long to usually win the game anyway. Sometimes your opponent will come back from having a Duress, and usually taking your opponent's 1 counterspell is not going to do all that much. But yeah, Preordain instead of Ponder. I could see playing Ponder in this deck because you play 6 fetch lands, but I think with Preordain being able to push dead lands to the bottom, because you don't need that many lands, you only need like maybe 3 Karoos in play to win the game. I think Preordain is just better in that slot. I'm still waiting to find a deck where Ponder is better than Preordain, but I haven't found one yet. In the 2-drop slot, you have your Familiars. You only play 7. You don't really need to max out 8 because you're not a turbo deck. You're more of just a combo grind deck, essentially. You have 1 Lone Missionary because 1 is really all you need in the main deck. Just to keep gaining 4 life over and over again. 2 Impulse, because Impulse is really good. The fact that it digs you 4 cards deep for only 2 mana and instant speed is pretty good in this deck. Because it allows you to find the 1 Moldrifter you need, the 1 Mnemonic Wall, the 1 Snap, the 1 Ghostly Flicker, and so on and so forth. Then you have 4 Snap, the namesake of the deck. You can't run, excuse me, you can't really run less than 4 Snaps in this deck. It is the pinnacle of what this deck is. Because you get to untap Karoos, and you get to bounce your own creature, like Moldrifter or Seagate Oracle. One cool thing that you can do is you can evoke Moldrifter for 1 mana if you have 2 Familiars out. You can snap it back with Karoos out, gain card advantage, and then play it. So that's pretty fun. Actually, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, then you have 4 Compulsive Research. It's basically just the best option that you have to draw 3 cards, and you can usually discard excess lands that you don't need anyway. 3 Ghostly Flicker, because, well, this is the namesake of the deck. This is basically Esper Flicker, I guess, or Esper. I like calling it Esper Familiars, but you really need 3 of these. You need to be able to fight Graveyard Hate. You need to be able to get one of these early. It's the namesake of the deck, basically. 4 Seagate Oracle. This is your main 3-mana blocker, plus it allows you to draw a card. 1 Reaping the Graves, because with Mnemonic Wall, you can return Reaping the Graves pretty much over and over again. And also, Reaping the Graves in this deck is just particularly insane because all the creatures you're returning are very, very good. And also because usually you can cast so many spells in 1 turn that Reaping the Graves will end up being 3 mana, return 6, 7 creatures from your graveyard to your hand, and you just refill and crush your opponent. One of the fun things from this deck is Stonehorn Dignitary. The big thing is now that a lot of people don't know, and I believe this to be true, is this guy's ability stacks. So let's say it's turn 6, and you make your opponent not be able to attack on the turn 6. If you blink him twice in the same turn, your opponent will not be able to attack the turn 6. Your opponent will not be able to attack that turn 7, the next turn on turn 7 either. I believe they do stack. So this guy's actually pretty insane in this deck. He's also a good blocker, being a 1/4. He doesn't die to Lightning Bolt. Then you have Mnemonic Wall, of course. I shouldn't really have to explain this one. The reason why he's in here is because he only costs 1 blue. That's really, really huge compared to Archaeomancer. That's why. Then you got Moldrifter. I'm not even going to explain this one. You should know why it's here. And then you have Din Rova Horror. This is the main win condition of the deck. You know why it's here, I'm sure. You can read what it does. It's a big 4/4. It's fatty. It's a really, really good card. This is one of the better creatures to make it into Pauper in recent memory, and I'm pretty happy that it's here. So that's the main deck. It's pretty much what you would expect from an Esper Familiars deck. I've seen him try versions with like Mana War and some kind of bird creature that's, I think, from like Plane Shift or something. It's like a 2/1 that bounces lands and stuff. But I think that he's kind of gone away from that, and 420 Dragon has decided to just stick to the deck's roots and really just become as much of a combo grind deck as possible. Looking onto the sideboard, you have 2 Cop Blue, which is not really great against Blue-Red Delver or Mono Blue Delver. Mono Blue Delver has Spire Golem and stuff, but it can help you win the game. That's mainly why it's there. Delver is really not a good matchup for this deck. It's winnable, but it's not the best. But that's just one matchup in the format. And with Pauper being as wide of a format as it is, you can't really base a deck's good graces on one bad matchup. That's why I like this format so much. Then you have 3 more Lone Missionary for burn, red deck wins, goblins, really any aggro deck, but especially burn. 3 Prismatic Strands for really the same reason, and for removal, burn, removal heavy matchup, damage, removal heavy matchups, things like that. Sorry, I can't talk today. Another Stonehorn Dignitary against Slivers, Stompy, Elves, really anything you can think of. 2 Dispel against counter matchups. 1 Deep Analysis for grindy matchups, as being able to pay 6 mana to draw 4 cards over the course of time is pretty damn good. And 3 Hydroblast because you really want to watch out for red decks. Red decks are really the bane of this deck's existence. This deck is really built to beat aggro decks. Aggro is really the big problem for this deck because you don't have a lot of ways to stop aggro from what they're doing. I can tell you that Affinity is not a great matchup, but it's certainly not horrible. The reason why Affinity is kind of bad is because, your Prismatic Strands and your Cop Blue doesn't really do much. They always have the Atog kill, so you got to keep the Prismatic Strands up. But also, they could sometimes just go, oh, I have 6 4/4s by turn 4, you're dead. That's just how that goes. But this deck, I believe, does have a decent Tron matchup, because Tron takes a little bit to get going, but you can usually just combo them off first. Your Teachings matchup, I never faced Teachings yet, but I have to imagine it's really not good. First of all, you have nothing against Teachings but Dispel and Deep Analysis, and you don't do very well against a lot of counterspells, but that's just my opinion. So we're going to take this deck into a couple test matches. We're going to show you off, see how it works, and I already think that this is a pretty fun deck. It's very, very hard to play. However, I would suggest if you're going to play this deck in a league, I would grind this deck for at least until you have at least 6 or 7 hours of it under your belt. But yeah, we're going to see how it plays and what it looks like with a couple test matches, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoy this deck.